Oh, man.
Have a little story to share with you fellas to kick off today's show. It's a secondhand story, but I believe I will be able to reshare it correctly and accurately, like the big J journalist that I'm definitely not. Renee, my wife, was at a networking event today. And as she frequently does, she was sort of, as at this point, like an undercover ball knower. Like she listens to this show. She now understands the sport, but because of misogyny, she doesn't always get viewed as a likely football knower. So she was roaming around at her networking event today, and she overheard a code word that really activated her spidey senses. She heard a conversation about some fellas that did not enjoy Troy Aikman's work. She then heard that conversation turn to Troy Aikman's appearance on the Pardon My Take podcast. So Renee went over, made some new friends, and she introduced in some level, you guys talking about Troy Aikman or whatever, and they had a little conversation, and then she officially introduced herself by saying, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Mrs. Jackass."
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
I am Mr. Jackass here with Seth Keysor live from Dallas, Nate Taylor live from his home in the Kansas City Metro. Flip it around, Seth. You've got your Texas backwards there. Oh, it's a Cowboys logo you're holding up. I wouldn't hold a reverse Texas. I'm afraid that something bad will happen to you.
I'd rather show you Texas backwards than show you this lousy star. Texas forever.
And that's what Seth sounds like now. He will sound like that throughout the entirety of today's show. Seth, you went surfing earlier today. Get along, little doggies.
Yeah, we're fixing to have ourselves a good time here.
Seth is taking a drink so he doesn't have to keep doing his voice.
No, I really can't. I will say I'm on vacation. The vacation vibes are immaculate. For those who are wondering, the people who are watching, I'm sure the first thing as we come live, you're probably asking yourselves a pretty important question. The answer is no. Neither Josh nor Nate have commented on my shirt. And I'm hurt, but I'm pushing through.
Is there any cardigan that you haven't mentioned? Look at my new cardigan.
Okay, that's fair. That is a really nice cardigan.
Thank you. And Seth, I love your shirt. Nate, you look great today too, by the way.
Oh, man. Nate, you always look so handsome. You guys are always so stylish, though. And I was recently talked to by my wife that I've been dressing like the same way since we met when I was like 22, t-shirt, shorts, jeans. So she's like, maybe you should start wearing collared shirts because, you're like 40. And I was like, ouch. Okay. Oh. So now I'm wearing collared shirts, but as my act of rebellion, they're fanciful and they're somewhat whimsical even. And so, yeah.
Two notes from me, and then Nate can go ahead and chime in. One, just note for why I didn't mention it, and then a suggestion. First of all, when I see you, 95% of the time, you're not just wearing a collared shirt, you're also wearing a tie. So this is casual Seth for Only Weird Games. You're always in lawyer mode. So I just thought, Seth's letting it breathe a little bit. No tie on vacation. Yes. Secondarily, Seth, do you trust me?
I do.
Undo one more button.
Ooh, that unlocked something.
It really... You have an undershirt?
Just a great...
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Perfect. No, with an undershirt, I might undo one more. But that button that you had buttoned, never button that again. There we go, Seth. I'll tell you what, open that up a little bit. Let that breathe a little bit. If you would have shown up with a little bit, that right there, I would have said something. That's vacation, Seth, right there. So, I love that energy.
So basically, I need to text Jazz and warn her that when I come out of the guest house here, that the kids are here with us. She needs to stay calm.
Yeah. COVID rule, 6 feet at least.
Yeah. Control herself.
Yeah.
because I'm going to look different. Okay.
Yep.
Good
I think
morning.
that's the play.
I trust you. I appreciate you. But yeah, so we're doing collared shirts now. I've got like a Hawaiian looking one. I've got some whatever ones. Dallas is great. Really pretty town. Everyone's super friendly. I went surfing. Not well. And not in the ocean. They've got a great place. Shout out to a place called Good Surf, which appropriately named because it's got like it's like a river surf technology thing where you go in there and you're on the wave forever. And you go back and forth. Well, in theory, you go back and forth. Some of us maybe go back and then they fall. And then they go back and then they fall. And sometimes they just get on the surfboard and fall. And then it like washes you out. And they're really clear with you, like, you got to stay flat, let the wave take you, and then sit up. Do not fight the wave. And I'm like, I really want to fight the wave. Like
even more now.
But I didn't. So it was it's been great. I've had some really great barbecue.
Don't say that.
How great.
Don't say that. Nope. Look, I'm going to have to stop you there, Seth.
People of Kansas City.
Nope.
You have not been bested.
Not going to hear you.
Damn right.
I've had some pretty good. A place called Heim. I had a really terrific bacon burn ends and a really good sandwich. But no, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of these though. A lot of stars floating around. And I have yet to see one Chiefs jersey. So
really,
but other than that, it's been a great trip so far. I would think I would see more Chiefs fans in the Dallas area. I don't know why I thought that, but whatever. I have driven on some really lovely inter-Dallas interstate type roads.
Interesting.
Tell you what, it's pretty easy to go a little fast on those things.
Is it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Seth is weaponizing his drinks on today's show. That was his second comedic timing long slurp. Nate, any fashion advice or follow-up questions for Seth before we get to the wide receiver carousel currently spinning?
No questions about the driving or the food, because clearly Dallas is trash when it comes to barbecue. My question though, sir, is this. You're telling me you surfed on man-made waves?
Yeah, it was awesome. And they're just there forever. And do you know what doesn't exist in man-made waves? Sharks.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or as my son understands, because of course we took him to the Chiefs Chargers game, but the day before I had the pleasure of taking Holly, my wife, and Hayden to Manhattan Beach, which if you've ever been, kids, what are those houses cost? Because I would jump in a heartbeat. Just a vacation home. Obviously, Kansas City is always going to be my home. But hey, buddy, you've never been in the ocean. Go out there and see what it's like. Yeah. Look at all those people surfing. Yeah, you get those waves. Sorry, what was that? Oh yeah, what you're digesting is salt water.
Oh yeah. And that's so last time we were in Florida, the weather was a little stormy, and so it created bigger waves on the Gulf side than what you normally get. And so my son Cole and I did like boogie boarding, body surfing, bodyboarding, whatever it's called, where you're on your stomach on the shorter one and the real surfers are laughing at you. I got to tell you, I swallowed all the salt water I could ever swallow. In fact, the great thing is though, I won't need a colonoscopy for the next 3 or 4 years, because that was just like.
So in Chiefs news, and we can go ahead and go to the first topic, Tucker. Rashid Rice did have his surgery. We had some news about that last week. But Andy Reid speaking yesterday really gave Chiefs Kingdom an unexpected colonoscopy by giving some details that are a little bit different than the ones that had been reported. Nate, I don't know if you have extra info on this. I want to give you a chance to put down what you know. I've got a little bit that I've tried to try to get us into the right realm and headspace for the hold on, posterolateral corner. Which I was not familiar with that, but that's what
that's a made up word.
Seth, every word's made up if you think about it, but none more than posterolateral corner. I thought Andy Reid misspoke at first. And then I did a little bit of research to figure out kind of what that means. I've got a little more from someone much smarter than me here in a minute. What do you know, Nate? Also noting that Andy Reid said, I think there's also room for interpretation on this. Andy Reid said that it would have a similar recovery timeline to an ACL injury. What would you add to what we know about Rashid Rice now in our little kind of quick 2-minute Reader's Digest version?
Okay, is everybody ready? Is everybody sitting down? So in essence, kids, the best possible scenario still stands. Maybe in 4 weeks, he can run a route. Okay. Or 4 months, excuse me. 4 months, he can run.
All right, good. Thank you for looking confused, Seth, because that would have been news.
Oh, man.
Sorry. Okay.
We are actively sharing disinformation now, guys.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
let
for
me
the first
try
time.
again. Let me try again. Damn it. I didn't share misinformation on a public platform named Twitter. Anyway. Okay. 4 months is still the best case scenario. Based on what Andy Reid said, if it isn't absolutely perfect, you probably not going to see Rashid Rice in a Chiefs jersey for the remainder of this season and much anticipated postseason. There are two things that I will interpret for you now. One is, now that we know more than likely he's done for the season, the next 2 weeks really matter against the San Francisco 49ers and the Las Vegas Raiders. These are both games on the road on a Sunday afternoon. Before what, Josh?
The trade deadline?
The trade deadline.
Oh.
Which brings us to point interpretation 2.
Dose.
You can aggregate me. You can put it out there now. They are probably going to trade for a receiver.
Now, hey, hang on. I have some important follow-up questions. You say a receiver. Is this someone who has run a significant number of routes for their team this year?
I do believe so.
Okay. You know what? I won't push any farther than that. Because there's
I will push on that.
Ooh, Josh, you push.
Well, I want to put the Rashid Rice thing in its spot, and then fully step into that. So Nate has given us the most. I hate interrupting now on the best cliffhanger of all time, but that from this point forward, we can discuss independent of Rashid Rice, right, Nate? That this is a season ender, and that's what Andy Reid's laying out.
More than likely, yes.
The thing that I was going to add about the posterior lateral corner. Was I mentioned last week, shout out to my friend Blake Johns, who's a PT who knows much more about the things that go on in knees and whatnot than I could ever dream of. I wanted clarification there because there was a Twitter doctor, which I don't even mean pejoratively, it's just how I would describe a doctor who's on Twitter, who was saying, oh man, worst case scenario is back on the table for Rashid Rice. It's always the best case or worst case. There's never a middle case scenario.
Right.
Yes. But, that's how medicine works.
Maybe he'll never be, there's a 15% chance he'll never be the same player again. I was like, all right, what's going on here? And so I asked Blake, like, can you like explain like I'm 5, what is the posterior lateral corner? And what does that actually mean? Because it is an area, to my understanding. Here's a couple things passing along from actual PT Blake. Thank you, Blake. It refers to an area that includes the LCL surrounding ligaments that help control and limit lower leg rotation and the tendon that connects to the lateral hamstring muscle. We already knew that he had a little procedure done on the hamstring. The knee bone connected to the hamstring bone is how I've understood this for a while. So the lower leg doesn't rotate much, but it can, especially when our knee straightens out all the way. When you lock your knees out, like every choir director tells you not to, your lower leg rotates toward the outside. In a hyperextension injury, any of the structures in that area can get injured. I think describing it as such is a simplification for the masses, which was sort of my interpretation at the time. Was that I don't know that Andy Reid knows every ligament that got, or at least didn't have it committed to memory at the time, every ligament that was touched throughout the course of this surgery. So season over, I don't think that you need to be, they didn't get in there and actually find the Nick Chubb situation. I think a little bit of that got really taken out of hand. So I wanted to add that context for keep assuming he's out for the season. I don't think you necessarily, and as you've already informed us, Nate, you don't need to take Andy Reid's mention of the ACL timeline to mean that he's out 10 to 12 months. I just don't think that that's actually the message that we were getting there. So with all of that being said, Rashid Rice, presumably out for the rest of the season. We have a little more info on that. Today, Devontae Adams is traded to the New York Jets. Amari Cooper is traded to the Buffalo Bills for essentially what the Chiefs gave up for Kadarius Toney, by the way. The Chiefs gave up a third and a sixth for Toney, and the Bills gave up a third and a seventh and got back a sixth for Amari Cooper. Putting that math into perspective a little bit. With that being said, Mr. Taylor, 2 big wide receiver dominoes have fallen. Deontay Johnson still a Carolina Panther. Calvin Ridley's name has been bubbled around a little bit. What should we know about the wide receiver situation, Nate?
All right, everybody.
Sorry, MVS got cut after they traded for Amari Cooper, so he'll be on the practice squad tomorrow.
Who calls who first, Josh?
If MVS's agent is getting paid for anything, he will.
Yeah, make a phone call.
Okay, I just want people to understand the inner workings of this. Who calls who first? Because, it's clear that the Chiefs called Kareem Hunt first, not the other way around. I just want you to get an idea as who might call who first when it comes to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Now, I know Seth is rolling his eyes. What was the issue, Seth?
I think that pride should have nothing to do with business, nor like the whole positional bargaining type styles. Look, we've all read The Art of War. We've all read game theory books.
You saying grown men are gonna act logical?
It's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time, man. Like, seriously, it drives me crazy when businessmen, which is what football is, act like they're like doing something. Like, you're doing too much. I make felony first-degree assault offers faster than these people get. Like, well, this is very important. It's related to football, so we should call who first. Man, I send the offer to the defense attorney. You know why? Because it's a good offer and I did my job. Just do that. I'm sorry. It drives me nuts. I'm on vacation. The second button's undone. I'll say whatever I want. But seriously, acting like you're running a professional fantasy football team. It's just worth way more money. Okay. Quit acting like you're doing something that's so serious. Sorry.
Hey, audience.
I hate game theory stuff when it's applied to the business world. When you don't need to do all that. You don't. It's like HR. They just are justifying their salaries by just doing things. Anyway, what were we talking about? Sorry, I blacked out. I think it's these beats. They got my ears overheated, so I'm not as filtered as I normally would be. Who called who first? Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. This is why I'm here. Okay,
I hate you
just got 2.5 minutes of insane content. Now look, and by the way, Seth is right. I'm just doing my job. I'm trying to inform you.
It's true
on an education here. Now let's again, fellas, do me a favor. Everybody, get your hands out, okay? If you're not driving,
wait. Everyone,
get your hands out. Put them together, Josh.
Sorry, I was responding to a comment asking if I was hitting a bong, and I will not be for at least another 45 minutes or so.
Thank you. Okay, guys, put your hands together. Now, we can't do this because we're on camera, but if you were by a window, that'd be even better.
I am.
Put them hands together and rub them, okay? Rub them hands together. Get that Birdman gift going, okay? What we got cooking now, okay? Let's put our hands together like Birdman. And not the Emma Stone Birdman, Birdman.
Driver at range.
With everything that has gone on over the last 24 hours, by the time you're probably hearing this, we are entering one of the best parts of the NFL season, kids, which is we have markets. We have value. we have parameters. Okay. And now for someone like Seth who gets upset about posturing, kids, we have 2 weeks. 2 game weeks to posture our hands off. Okay.
And what's the rush? Why does the receiver maybe want to have 2 extra weeks to get used to Andy Reid's offense?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, squeeze them. We got to squeeze them out. Okay. We the Carolina Panthers. We could win the next 2 games, or
which technically
we could jack that price up.
It's technically, if you're the Carolina Panthers, winning your next 2 games is bad.
Correct.
It's actually a step backwards. And, look, I understand some jobs require positional bargaining.
Hey, if you're the New York Giants, hey, man, we're in a division race. We got 2 weeks.
One of my favorite.
Do the Giants have Deontay Johnson?
One of my favorite things to do when I'm working with a new defense counsel, because every attorney comes in and everyone's going to reinvent the wheel. They're always going to, and this is true for the state as well as defense. They're always going to show everyone how it's all done, et cetera, et cetera. One of my favorite things to do is to send a response email when I've sent an offer to resolve a case and they send me a counter offer. My favorite thing is send them off with the starting subject line, I don't do counter offers. And then I explain to them, I send fair offers. If you've got some facts that I don't know about that make my case worse or make your client less culpable, let me know. But I don't do counter offers because my offers are fair. I don't do the whole, like some places will, the defense counsel will ask for an offer and they'll say the criminal complaint is the offer.
To the middle ground. Get to the middle ground.
My offer is the middle ground. I look and I'm like, okay, if I was a defense attorney, what do I think would be fair? And because I am, omniscient, I send an offer and it's fair to everyone. And so honestly, just say yes to me, which is, again, why I don't conduct business at these levels, because I would lose my mind talking to someone, be like, no, that's dumb. It's kind of like the whole, that one meme, the whole, best I can do is whatever. That's positional bargaining. It's like, oh, hey, we would really love Deontay Johnson. We're willing to send you a 4th rounder and swap picks, really late rounders, whatever. And they're like, best I can do is you got to send me a 1st. It's like, you're not being serious. You're not. Like, it's just a waste of everyone's
I just got off the phone with my owner, and he's got to get a 2nd rounder.
Oh yeah,
every single fantasy football trade is like that. That's what every fantasy trade is like.
Don't you guys have kids? Like, don't you have something else you want to be doing with your day than this?
I'll give you a kicker for Bijan Robinson, and or you can give me every player on your roster, and you can have Bijan.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, but it'll be exciting to see what the Chiefs decide to do, because in the past they've been less aggressive. Last year they were like, hey, we need wide receiver help. Let's go get McCole Hardman. I like McCole Hardman. He's contributed to some of the greatest sports memories I have. But like when I say they need like receiver help, I need someone that has proven they can play wide receiver consistently and beat man coverage. Otherwise, I don't know what we're doing. Like,
what?
Oh gosh. And I will not. My ears are so hot, seriously. But I will not get dragged into another rant. I don't want to see them giving up assets on a guy that they liked coming out of the draft, but hasn't done anything for 2 years in the NFL. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it for like a gadget player. You know who should get the gadget player targets? The guy who can gain 6 yards when there's not a blocker in front of him because he's so much faster than everyone else. And so I don't even remember what we were talking about anymore, but it got me fired up.
Seth, let's let the speculation begin. Let's let it fly off. Of course, a couple weeks ago, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I went through this is after the Chargers game. The Rashid Rice injury. We went through, just some mock trades with some other beat writers at The Athletic. And, the high mark at that time was a 3rd round pick. Okay. Now, because of the Devontae Adams and the Amari Cooper trades, we now know that the high mark 3rd round pick. Okay. Now, the Chiefs, as of today, based on their moving, their maneuverability and the fact that they traded away L'Jarius Sneed last year, have 2 3rd round picks. So you could say, well, Nate, couldn't the Chiefs have gotten involved with the Amari Cooper situation? Considering that I don't think the Raiders were ever going to trade Devontae Adams to the Chiefs. Let's just put that to the side. His contract is also a little bit yikes. Also, is he gonna get open? Anyway,
I think so. Yeah. Offer a first for Garrett Wilson. You keep going. Sorry.
We'll see. We'll see, because if he's not open, I mean, kids, the NFL moves so fast.
It does.
Mike Williams, put the mixtape out now, guys, because it's over.
Yeah.
Put the full mixtape out on Mike Williams. He has some great moments. It's over, guys. So look, now that we know what the high mark is and the fact that the Chiefs have 2 third-round picks, you could say, well, Nate, why didn't they go get Amari Cooper, who is a very good possession receiver, who gets open, who's productive, who, as my buddy Alex Gold from 96.5 The Fan said, hey, he going to start catching passes from someone who's not a creep. That's a big difference, guys. He might glow up in Buffalo, okay? Because Josh Allen can make us look good. Good God, he's amazing. They don't want Amari Cooper. He's 30. No.
And so this season doesn't matter.
So if you're
it's not like
that's
why the Chiefs roster is well known to not be built around anyone that's 30 or over.
It is an extremely young roster, and I'm surprised they didn't cut Travis Kelce for cap space because he's only going to be here for 1 or 2 more years.
Get him out of here. Can we pay you in 2030? Then get out.
Out. Yeah. So,
Noah Gray and Jared Wiley got this, man. Sky Moore and McCole Hardman, get back out here. Not to run routes, but to be on the field, at least on the side.
So look, they weren't involved. There's been no reports that they were involved. They didn't want him. Okay, he's 30. We ain't doing that. So now that informs you again. Stop looking at 30-year-olds. Okay. Now I know people have said, well, Demarcus Robinson knows the playbook. Something has gone wrong on the trade market if you trade for Demarcus Robinson.
Shut up, Nate. They traded for McCole Hardman last year. What the hell are you talking about? Something's wrong with the market if they trade for Demarcus Robinson.
This year's market is not last year's market, okay? Why I gotta sound like DJ Khaled?
They traded for Kadarius Toney 1 year and then McCole Hardman. You're like, they're too good for Demarcus Robinson now.
Who was it?
We're eating scraps, Nate.
That wasn't DJ Khaled. That was what's his name?
I don't know. I was too mad to listen to your reference.
God, I'm getting old, y'all. So look, we have perimeters. They have 2 third-round picks. So now we're dealing probably in the 4th round, right? You could do that if you wanted. Maybe a 4th rounder and a pick swap. I'm just saying. But the Chiefs more than likely are going to trade for a receiver unless something crazy happens over the next 2 games. And now I would encourage you to start looking at guys who are not 30, who are on the market, like we told you earlier. And thank you, Rich. Fat Joe was like, today's price is not yesterday's price. Okay. Last year's market, not this year's market, all right? This year's market booming because Darius Slayton is saying, I don't want to catch passes from Daniel Jones no more, okay?
Hey, guys, I have huge breaking news. I think we're safe. Boy. MVS turned 30 5 days ago.
But you're not trading for him.
No, he's going to be on the practice
he's
squad
already put a call in. Come get me.
Yeah.
And then they pursued him so aggressively, the Bills cut him. That's how aggressively the Chiefs tried to trade for him. They offered the Bills something. The Bills were like, we'd rather just not.
Seth, I think history's indicated that you don't really have to pursue Marquez Valdez-Scantling for him to drop the ball. Let's take a break.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
You know who's never dropping the ball? Our friends over at GEHA. That's Government Employees Health Association Incorporated. You know them as the folks that have their name on the side of Arrowhead Stadium at GEHA Field. So Chiefs fans, here's what I can tell you about it. I've told you this a couple of times. I hope you don't have to hear me repeat myself, but maybe you're hearing it for the first time because this opportunity is unbelievable. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA. You can enter to win a chance to be on the field for the march to the three-peat, and you can score other exclusive prizes. You can enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, fellas, we can get some folks on the field at the 50 to join the pregame festivities. Can we get Xavier Worthy downfield? That's really more of a question for Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs offense to answer. But Seth, you took a look at it to see if you could answer it for yourself. Oh, Nate's got something else more important. Go ahead, Nate.
Hold on. Mr. Fat Joe, I am sorry that I misidentified you as DJ Khaled.
Is he in the chat?
I will never do it again. No, I'm just saying for the homies. I don't even want that. I don't even want the issue. Okay. Look, man, I'm just trying, I had a nice thought about you. You've obviously influenced us magnificently. He was also incredible in The Captain. I, for some reason, started watching that, mostly because the Royals played the Yankees. And I was like, yeah, let me go through that again. Man, Fat Joe was great in that. The Diddy stuff. Hey, man, we need to scrub all that. Hey, Derek Jeter, I love you, dog. You got to scrub every part of that. Diddy's in multiple episodes of The Captain, and dog, we just can't have it out here in the streets like that.
Really?
He really is. I'm sorry, Fat Joe. Now look, okay. I just want to answer someone very specifically. If they're
somebody remodeling in Seth's vacation home, what's going on? Somebody moving furniture?
I don't know. It's pretty great. My house is safe. It's stable. Fat Joe is not here yet. Neither are the homies. It's all good. Now, Zach Shelby, I read during the break. I don't know if you're coming on late to the show, Zach. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever. But Zach in the comments said, I don't know if you want to put it up there, Tucker. Zach said, Nate, you saying a lot, yet nothing at all. Shooting it to me straight, bro. Bro, they trading for a receiver. Did you not hear that? Bro. Yeah, and likely not a 30-year-old. They trading for somebody, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Good Lord, man.
They trading for somebody, dog. Andy Reid was like, hey, stop asking me questions because they trading for somebody. He was like, that's your question, Seren, not my question, because they trading for somebody. They was like, hell no. Yes, please ask me about Clyde because they trading for somebody, Zach. What do you mean I'm not shooting it to you straight? Start looking at non-30-year-olds. Get in the film.
Darius Slayton, Deontay Johnson. I'd be interested in either of them, especially Johnson.
Not George Pickens, because I don't like him. And I'm sorry. That's half the league. Half the league don't like that boy because he a little bit of a knucklehead. That's the nicest way I can say it. He do be getting open, though. But look, if Russell Wilson don't want him throwing the ball and Mike Tomlin don't want him, why would you take him?
We've been down this road. Now, the Steelers did trade Deontay Johnson as well, but it wasn't with nearly the acrimony or anything like that. If Mike Tomlin cannot handle you in the locker room,
and you are not Antonio Brown in his prime,
you are basically a terrorist. All right? You are basically...
If Sean McDermott can handle you in his locker room.
There's no other There's no other way.
The Bills should have traded for Pickens. Damn, that was the joke. That was right there.
That joke was right there. Okay, there are lots of other ways I could have phrased that. That said, that's like we know Tomlin's capable of in terms of handling knuckleheads, and if Pickens is getting that unhappy there that quickly, I said, come on, man. Nate is showing
nothing. He's showing nothing. If you're not watching, you don't know what the joke is, and Nate's career is safe.
Yeah, that's true. Someone mentioned Christian Kirk. I would also take Christian Kirk. Is he north of 30?
I don't think he's 30 yet.
Probably really close.
I gotta look that up.
He's only 27. Christian Kirk is a guy
he's younger than Deontay Johnson, huh?
Yeah. How about that?
Here's my criteria, and I know we're going to talk about Worthy. You already tried to get us there, Josh.
I cast pearls before you swine. That segue was so nice. It was
that segue was
all hung in the air, and you were both like, bleep it. I got something else to say.
Swatting it away like we're Matumbo and we're not on the same team.
ESPN, get the P. Diddy stuff off the captain. Scrub it.
So the thing for me,
what's going on with P. Diddy?
If you're going to utilize resources mid-season, those resources are valuable down the road. And so I would only want them to do it for someone who actually moves the needle. So like people talk about Darius Slayton. That's where the boundary line is for me. Slayton, I think, could move the needle a little, but he's not really a separator against man coverage, but he can threaten down the field a little and help Xavier Worthy vary his routes.
I want to add a clause for when both of you guys talk about the receivers, which is help this year, ? Because so much has been made about that on-ramping period. I'm curious, could Darius Slayton join this offense tomorrow and be their number one receiver in late December?
Well, who's his offensive coordinator, Josh?
His current offensive coordinator? Effectively, Brian Day. I guess it's Kafka now, right?
Yes, it's Mike.
Yeah, there you go. So there's some shared language. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You want someone who can help this year, but ideally, if you trade for a guy who's younger, like a Deontay Johnson, it would be really nice if you could try to get some kind of, mid-market, which is still expensive because it's still a wide receiver, some kind of decent deal locked in place to where you're taking care of next year as well. That's something that would be preferable for me. And that's where someone like a Johnson or a Kirk is an option for that sort of thing. But it just depends on, what you could get going there. But anyway, I know you threw me such a great line. Who is getting open down the field? Xavier Worthy against the Saints. A lot, actually. Well, 4 or 5 times. But that's a lot of times to be open down the field. The way I summed it up at the very end, we haven't done the Seth Reeds things that he wrote in a hot minute. And I know you've been missing it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had just, I'm so sorry, this is not working. Had they just, I can't even find where I wrote it. Who knows? Anyway.
What part are you looking for? I have it open.
No, I can't tell. It's just, had they just thrown him the ball every time he was not wide open, but every time he got open down the field and he only caught half of them, he would have had an extra 60-ish yards and maybe a touchdown. And the entire conversation about him would be very different. Which the conversation about Worthy is already pretty good. Like, I mean, he's hit on a few gadget plays. He's hit on a couple of deep balls. Like, no one's out here like, oh man, the Chiefs really should have taken him. People in general are pretty good with it. It could be off the charts almost if he was getting thrown the ball every time that he was getting open down the field. Let me just make something clear. That is not a Patrick Mahomes is constantly missing Xavier Worthy open down the field. There was one play that was like that where I think he could have had him. He should have had him. That was actually against, if I'm recalling, cover 2. And one of the safeties broke to the right side. He was afraid of essentially a downfield seam route. And Worthy was running a crosser. And let me tell you, there was nobody within 20 yards of him. And Mahomes eventually got pressured, but he had time to make the throw first. That was a missed shot, right? Because it's within the framework of the reads. And he should have seen it, and he didn't. Another example on the 3rd and 9 scramble where Mahomes made an incredible play. Right? Worthy came open down the field there. And I didn't count that as a missed shot because I'm thinking you're under 7 minutes left. The Saints have used both of their timeouts. or 2 of their timeouts, 2 of their 3, and you're trying to, run the clock. You're on the good side of the field. You don't want to take too many risks. I can see why he didn't throw that, because you want to make them burn a timeout, or an incompletion. Those 40 seconds are incredibly valuable at that point in the game. So I kind of get that. So I didn't chart his missed shot, but he was separating down the field against man. That other one, he was separating down the field against cover 2, and there was only a safety there. Had that ball come out, he could have hit him with timing. That might have been like a 60-yard touchdown. He got open in the back of the end zone when they were in the red zone, and it was one of Wanya Morse's worst reps where there was just pressure right away. He didn't have time to sit and fire it out ahead. The opportunities are there. And one thing that I've noticed, there was another one where Juju Smith-Schuster got targeted over the middle of the field on a dig, and Worthy was walking away deep with no safety help again. Teams are not, people talk about cover 2 and that kind of stuff. Teams are not playing just exclusively deep shell stuff like they were in 2021 and 2022 and in the early part of 2023, but then they stopped. And we talked about this a ton last year. Teams realized we don't have to do that anymore. Mahomes is still great, but guess what? They're trying to utilize this greatness in the intermediate and shallow stuff. And with one safety, or even because there's various iterations. You can have cover 4 that isn't cheating deep. You can rotate your safeties a lot more because you're not worried about someone just running right by him. You can run cover 3 and not have them bail deep immediately. You can do a whole lot of things. You can run single high man, which let me tell you, the number of times the Chiefs saw single high man from like the beginning of 2019 to it was never, you couldn't do it, because it was like Mahomes would see it and be like, hey, Tyreek, I want you to run that way really fast. These idiots are playing single high man. Yeah, I'm going to look this way. Oh, there he goes. Woo, touchdown. It happened a ton. It was impossible to do. Teams aren't doing that anymore. They're running a lot of different stuff against the Chiefs. Worthy is in the process of making them pay, which is nice to see. He could be making them pay even more. But the thing I've noticed, their offense started to operate. It was mid, and by the way, before anyone says it's because they lost Tyreek Hill or it's because they lost Eric Bieniemy, this change happened during the 2021 season when they had both. Yes. Go back, watch the Titans debacle, the Giants debacle, the Packers game was poor, the Bills game was poor. In between all that, they had a really good game against the Commanders. That was when there were a bunch of think pieces written about this. Oh, the Chiefs, they can't adapt. Mahomes can't adapt. It's all over. They can't adapt to all these shells. And from then on, they started to operate the offense. They turned Tyreek Hill into a possession receiver. He had like 9,000 targets in 2021. It was ridiculous. And they started doing everything shallow and intermediate. And that's when the reads stopped going from top down to bottom up, or intermediate down, that kind of thing. What I saw against the Saints were several plays, and this is especially the Juju Smith-Schuster on the dig. The dig was the first read. Patrick Mahomes of 2018, 2019, early 2020, and 21, he would have started with that deep shot, but they've adjusted the offense to how the league is playing them, but the league isn't playing them that way anymore. So that, to me, that's an in-house thing you can fix. Worthy is getting open, especially down the field, and they've got to start incorporating more deep shots to where he's the first guy they look at.
I thought for sure Nate was going to have a follow-up for you on that, but I'll take it. You mentioned that it's an in-house thing, and again, this is laid out in the story, and you mentioned a bunch of this now, but however granular you want to take this, does that start with coaching, or does that start with Mahomes? Do you think that the schematic change of down-up as opposed to deep to shallow, was that a choice? It seems like it was a choice made out of necessity at the time, right? By and large. Yes. So can they just say, oh, hey, this is no longer necessary? And in the big conversation we've had about all the wide receivers right now, this is another, I'll add this as a very late add-on to the trade conversation, and why like MVS doesn't really do much for me in terms of the conversation about this room. The Chiefs do need a better 6th receiver because there's not one, and a better 5th receiver because it's Sky Moore, and a better 4th receiver because it's McCole Hardman. But really, and a better 3rd receiver because Justin Watson led the wide receivers in snaps against the Saints and did not get a target. That's unserious. The Chiefs do have an issue throughout their depth, but they lost their number 1 and number 2 receivers. Like they have a top-end receiver problem, and right now they're not treating Xavier Worthy like a number 1 receiver in how they're looking at him. So how does that happen?
I think the way that happens is similar to what we saw down the stretch last year with Rashid Rice, where they started to formulate the offense around what he does best. Here's the thing with Worthy, and this is where it's kind of driving me a little crazy. It's not perfect. He's got things to work on, but his releases are better than Rashid Rice's were this time last year.
And that was the thing you were worried about. Not you, but like that was the worry for him as a rookie, right? Is all right, NFL defensive backs touching you at the line. What's going to happen?
Yeah, and you can watch him a couple times where they were still passing him off, but they were meant to get their hands on him at the line of scrimmage. He has really learned that it's okay to get horizontal at the snap when you're that fast. It's better than trying to fight through it when you weigh 170 pounds. That's nonsensical. Getting horizontal, dipping the shoulder, and then going through, that's perfect. That's exactly what you should be doing. And you see him doing a good job with that. So I think it starts with, I would think, Andy Reid and starting to adjust where the reads are going. Now, part of it, he's not trusting the left tackle situation enough. And I understand that the left tackles haven't been perfect, but if you turned on, we as Chiefs fans got a chance to watch a bunch of other games. There's plenty of teams that have some issues at left tackle.
Did you see Aaron Rodgers' left tackle last night?
Oofta. And so that's something that Mahomes can work through. And I believe he will. And I believe he has in the past. Big Fish got a little bit of a rough rep later in his career. I mean, he was a very useful left tackle. So I think it starts with Reid, but it starts with dialing up shot plays intentionally, but then also baking them in as part of just, if they're running post dig, start with the post, then look at the dig. That I think starts with coaching, but it also has a strong Mahomes element to it because there's been a couple times where you see Worthy, and he starts to load up. And I think 2023, if I were a betting man, I could be way off here, right? I don't know Patrick Mahomes. If I were a betting man, I think 2023, he had to shrink his world into the things that he could control. And you saw that in the playoffs. He only took shots when it was absolutely necessary. And that's how he had to do it. And fortunately, MVS, hey, shout out to him, came through in the playoffs. But they just stopped doing it, and he shrunk down his world. He's got to start expanding that again because that is not, as great as Mahomes is, that's not a long-term way to win. Although it might be this year how good the defenses look. But so I think it starts with coaching, and then it goes to Mahomes. And I think you combine those two things, and it really, they could, in my opinion, design this offense around similar to the 2022 setup with MVS playing well overall, decently. Worthy's a better player now than MVS was in 2022. Worthy, Juju, Kelsey, you can run a functional offense around that, but you gotta treat Worthy like kind of the impetus of it because I don't think Juju can be.
And everyone has to stay healthy, which is
Yes.
harder for Juju and Kelsey now than it was then, and seems probably harder for Worthy than it was for MVS. Although the 175 thing is a little overblown, but it's also his first NFL season.
Yeah,
is another physical grind.
Yes,
Nate, my thought is that there's probably no better time to have those conversations than over the course of the bye week. What do you make of Seth's work there, and what you think is a likely evolution or not a likely evolution for the Chiefs offense?
No, everything Seth said was really well thought out, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I want to remind people that yes, the Chiefs have a quarterback to where he can actually fit a round peg into a square hole. He really can do that because in 2022, when the Eagles, I believe, had 70 sacks for the season, didn't get sacked in the Super Bowl, and the ball never traveled 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. He never had a completion in the Super Bowl where the ball traveled more than 20 yards. It did not happen. I think he tried it once maybe to MVS, and he overthrew him, and that was it. So I should say this, no completion where the ball traveled 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. And sometimes you just have to remind yourself that he genuinely gets better, usually and genuinely gets better as the season plays along. And so maybe this is fortuitous in a sense to have the bye week earlier than usual, because maybe you can smooth out some of those things that Seth has talked about, the footwork, the accuracy at times. Now it's about trusting what you're seeing downfield, having the reads, be a little bit more optional to start out based on what the defense is showing pre and at the snap of the ball. But sometimes, given how well Juju played against the Saints, you do have a quarterback who can go back to that, crazy as it sounds, old thing where I'm looking up the box score right now. He went 21 of 27, 182, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. He had a 131 passer rating. He was also, as I like to remind people in the second half, virtually perfect. 13 of 14, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. They walked the Eagles down from a 10-point deficit at halftime. They can do both. Yep. What'll be fascinating is which path do they choose starting Sunday against a pretty compelling 49ers team that really needs this game.
Yes.
And so the offense, in a lot of ways, the offense will be, again, for a number of issues, more interesting to watch than the defense against the 49ers. We have seen Spagnuolo against Shanahan. Track record kind of speaks for itself in terms of those matchups in the past. So, again, the San Francisco 49ers, because of Steve Spagnuolo, have a new defensive coordinator. And how are they going to try to disrupt Mahomes in the offense? So, again, for the next...
It sure is impressive that Spags pants the Niners so aggressively that they change defensive coordinators. Interesting.
Yeah. One time, the guy got a head coaching job so that Aaron Rodgers could fire him. Yeah. And then the other time, he held the Chiefs to 25 points in 5 quarters and got fired.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep,
Curious.
Crazy how that works. But Steve Wilkes is really good, guys. I to this day, I don't understand it. But hey,
he couldn't win in Carolina, Nate. I mean, come on, what do you expect from him?
Good.
Unbelievable. Such a great point. So, yeah, I think for the next 2 weeks, because of the trade deadline, because of everything Seth just said about Mahomes and the fact that Worthy can be more productive with just a little increase of more opportunities, man, it makes these next 2 weeks really fascinating because where the offense goes from here will be quite telling, considering that they got here mostly through unusual circumstances and the fact that they are having to put more on Xavier Worthy than probably they were putting more on Rashid Rice at this moment last year.
Steve Wilkes went 6-6 as the interim head coach of the Panthers, and that just feels like miracle working right now. Although, to Tucker's point, I will not speak of the Mizzou days, for I am not familiar with those texts, but I've heard bad things. Speaking of relying on a little bit of an older player, Seth, you let me know where you are in your window of needing to resume your vacation activities. Earlier you said 5:30, 5:45-ish, because I want to rely on you one more time to talk about Mahomes. And you can go into the details of the Saints film review as much as or as little as you want. That came out on Friday or Saturday last week, so it was right after we talked about it, and obviously going into the bye, no immediate new film. I am a little bit more interested at this point in your 30,000-foot view of, all right, I've reviewed all this Mahomes tape, and you found earlier in the year different things bothering him from time to time. We've obviously talked about the Worthy aspect, the receivers, and all of that. Anything else come together with the benefit of the bye, and then after getting to go snap by snap to the Saints game, where you think, oh, this is something. This is interesting.
I think the biggest thing is a continuation of what we saw against the Chargers, a little bit to an extent against the Bengals. But the Chargers, the issues of not trusting the blocking have been the consistent thing. He has had happier feet this year than he's had in a couple of years. And it's interesting because if you go back and watch the Ravens game, like the first half, where he was, just dealing. And then a few things went wrong, and you can see him trying to compensate. But then it's been an interesting journey. The footwork issues that affected his accuracy, that was partly Bengals and Falcons.
Yep.
Then he's done a lot better since then. He's thrown the ball a lot more accurately the last couple of weeks, but he's not trusting his blocking. And in his defense against the Chargers, rewatching that, the pass blocking was poor. And it failed multiple times early, and you could see it affect him. And that was the same thing against the Saints, but he was starting to tighten that up too. So it really isn't anything earth-shattering that we haven't talked about already. It's just the trust issues between learning to trust Worthy and learning to trust the offensive line. Those are the biggest things for him moving forward. And knowing that whole, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them thing. He found such an incredible combination of game manager and playmaker in 2022. And then in the playoffs this last year was just unbelievable. He's still trying to find that sweet spot. And that part of me really thinks it's almost impossible to achieve perfection with that. I think for the rest of his career, we're going to see some swings back and forth as he tries to really let things cook until they can't. And then you saw they got to figure out the protection a little bit on that left side, because you saw when he tried to set up shop and stay calm in the pocket, keep his feet quiet, let the progressions work themselves out, he got sacked because Morris lost. So it really is those same things, but it comes down to trust. Right now, he trusts Kelsey and he trusts Juju. And that's super clear. If he gets that next level of trusting Worthy, and it took Rice all year. Like, it wasn't until like the playoffs where he was like firing at Rice's face when he's like, it's third and no forever. Dude, I'm putting this out there. You run that thing down, okay? If they can speed that up, I think every little bit, it becomes almost like an exponential problem. You know what I mean? When you've got a little bit of trust here and a little bit of trust there, it all bounds together into something that's bigger than the sum of the parts. So it's nothing really new. It just hasn't been up to the standard that we've gotten used to with Mahomes. For any other quarterback, he would be having a good to very good season by my charting. Maybe even very good. For him, it's subpar. He has yet to put together a full game. It got better against the Saints. The accuracy was there. The happy feet and missed shots dipped down significantly from the Chargers game. Curious what it looks like against the Niners, because I fully expect them to – they kind of do what they do, but I fully expect the Chargers to try out some of this inside stunt with a looper trying to take advantage of him bailing out of the pocket. I think teams are going to keep doing that until he stops biting on it.
It'll be fascinating. Nate and I will definitely talk about that game a little more on Thursday. I don't know if we have an official designation for Seth on the roster yet for Thursday. Do we? Listen, Seth, don't give the competition anything that they could use against us. I mean, keep it.
I can't say with 100% certainty. What I can tell you is that, Magnolia Farms is a lovely place and lovely destination that Mrs. Minnesota Chiefs fan is very excited about. And so, we're just going to take it day by day. I'd be surprised if I saw me in there on Thursday evening, but, you never know.
I'd be surprised if I saw me in there is very good. Nate, get us out of here.
Lastly, first off, thank you guys for liking, subscribing. We appreciate that as always. Lastly, kids, I had a funny thing that happened. I texted the fellas. We can play a little game as we go now because I'm Seth Keysor.
Fantastic.
No, Tucker.
Tucker, you're working way too hard for the last 30 seconds of this show to have
entirely too hard.
Good work, Tucker. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so if you're still with us, congratulations. Thank you. I just wrote a feature story today, Josh, and I just put it out there for you guys. Hey, think it's interesting. Think you might enjoy it in a little website called theathletic.com/themothership, the New York Times. Anybody want to take a guess as to which player I wrote about?
I think people should be blasting the comments right now with which Chiefs player they think you have a feature story coming out on. It's you texted us with the subtext, or not with the text of you're excited about this one. This one apparently felt good out the hand. Maybe you got some good conversations. I don't know. I have not seen any part of this story, but I know who it's about. First person to get it in the comments gets a shout out. How about that? LRZ.
I love that Dr. Ossie said LRZ. Now, I got to be honest, kids. When a player tweets or puts something on Instagram or one of them other sites, I do, have the notification up, and Anita, they're gonna make me write about Travis. Okay, you ain't got to worry about that. That's every month is what it sounds like.
The correct answer is Taylor. I'll shout out the correct answer here in a second.
So I had the notifications on.
Oh my God.
And guys, I hate to admit it. Sometimes you have a summer fling, and I did see that notification come through from Louis Rezamet, and I said, "Oh, I still got his notifications on Twitter. Oh man, that sucks. Dang, he look good, and he's next to Prince, and he's next to Prince,
to Prince William,
and he's standing next to Prince William,
Prince of Wales.
He overseas. He back in the home.
My Welsh royalty Prince William was standing next to my Welsh royalty.
Hey man, he looking good. Can you run a route?
Seriously, dude. Are you prepared to give away who it's about to be?
Yes.
Cody Rung. Cody, you got it first, and then Rich Fan got it second with Leroy Chanel Jenkins.
Leroy! Perfect. Simply perfect. Now, if I had editorial responsibilities, ownership, authorization, I would have put the clip of Leroy Jenkins in there. I really would have put it right next to the 4th and 1 stop.
You should.
Against the Falcons. Now, guys, I'm just a writer, I'm just a reporter. I can't make all the decisions. But yes, there is a story on Leo Chenal coming to you soon. And I think you should check it out because I'll tell you this, Josh. You know how I did that reporting?
With violence and physicality.
Uh-huh. And you know how you know where I did this reporting?
Don't know.
It's a place called the Locker Room. I went from Leo's locker to guess what? Is that Mike Dana's locker?
We were gonna talk about this last Thursday night at time. Today we've run out of time. Thursday we're gonna talk about this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was half naked, but now Mike Pinnell's available, and I can get him for 4 minutes about Leo Chenal. And you know what? Mike Pinnell told me something I wouldn't have not considered. But oh wait, there's George Karlaftis going from one room to the locker room to another room. Hey man, can I ask you one question about Leo Chenal? I promise I won't look where you think I'm gonna look. I promise you. Look at me, baby. I've been in NBA locker rooms, NHL locker rooms, baseball clubhouses. I done seen them all. Okay, you ain't gotta worry about me. All right. Eyes are locked in. Hold on. Is that Johnny Fortson? What? Hey, by the way, guys, I really want you to read this story because I don't know when I'm gonna do that again. I don't know when I'm gonna go from locker to locker trying to ask respectful, professional questions. And you can be naked. You know where my eyes are gonna be? Right here, baby. Right freaking here. Okay? Because if Chris goes to the podium, I don't need to talk to him right now. I'll see him later in the locker. Eye to eye, man to man, junk to junk.
Wait a second. Maybe the players have a point. We'll talk to you on Thursday.